Thank you so much. Hopefully everyone feels nice and rested after that lunch. It's the talk after dessert, so I know some of you might still be finishing dessert. Please go ahead and do that. On my flight here to Seoul, BUIDL Asia, I actually changed some parts of my deck to actually make this more practical, to give everyone a little bit more context around the business of ZK. A lot of decks you're going to see today, or probably have already seen, are kind of cookie cutter, like, oh, here's my product, here's how we're awesome, contact us here, here's our tweet. I want to change it up a little bit more and talk a little bit more about the business of ZK within the context of native rollups, because I think if I don't provide some kind of context or a framework within which we have this conversation, kind of falls on like deaf ears. So officially, this is my title, CIO, mostly because all the other titles were taken. The two founders took CTO and CEO, and I'm technical, so I didn't want CFO, I didn't want COO. They were like, how about CIO? I'm not really sure what CIOs do, but what I do is oversee product and engineering, which is a tough job, but I enjoy it quite a lot. With respect to my background, I've actually worked around the world a little bit. I was in mobile tech in Sweden for a while. Then I moved to Microsoft, built SQL Server database systems. For a little bit of time, I was a security engineer. I definitely wasn't cut out for that. But then I moved into rideshare. For folks who are from Southeast Asia or are familiar with Southeast Asia, I helped build Grab, which used to be called My Taxi back then. I was their first engineering manager, built out their pricing systems, and then worked at Amazon, then Lyft again back in the US. I worked at Coinbase, launched markets in Japan, in India for like a solid 4 hours before the government shut us down. Then I moved into Ava Labs, the team behind Avalanche. And then I made this realization that like ZK is the way to actually solve a lot of blockchain's problems, and I moved into Risc, which is also Seattle-based. All of this to say that my engineering experience is in database systems and distributed web services, and my leadership experience is in building markets. Markets for digital goods, for physical goods, for services. I'd like to say I'm older than I look. Thank you, Korean skincare. But I feel older than I should. That's just really bad lifestyle choices. This is the cookie cutter agenda that like everyone kind of has when they sort of present their ZKVM. So I want to like rush through this in 2 minutes and then like go into what I feel is a much more interesting topic. And a lot of you have flown long distances or like driven through a lot of traffic to come sit here. I don't want to give you the same agenda that everyone else is going to give you. Risc, also called we built a product called ROVM. We invented the RISC-V ZKVM that kickstarted ZK adoption in this cycle. We're the world's most trusted ZKVM. We're adopted by dozens of partners. Some of them are here, Eigenlayer, Tyco, Hashflow, which is a exchange. And we're racing to real-time proving by July. That's our performance goal. Boundless is the decentralized marketplace that we're building for anybody who wants to access ZK proofs. It's offered in a decentralized, censorship-resistant, on-chain manner. So it's horizontally scalable and vertically integrated for the smoothest DevX possible. We do have other competitors who are building similar things, but we have very interesting aspects of Boundless that make us unique and give it a little Risc twist to everything. Rollups, I think that's one of the most popular products today, and like we'll eventually talk about native rollups, so I want to throw this in here as well. We built a product called OP Kailua. It's the cheapest and most OP future-safe, future-proof option to convert your OP stack rollup into an optimistic or a ZK rollup with just one click. That's part of the business, but this is the cookie cutter agenda. I could spend 20 minutes talking about this, but I'll also be honest, you can just ask ChatGPT, it'll spit out this information. Why should I just repeat that? Probably a waste of time to like spend 20 valuable minutes doing that. What I'd rather want to share with you all is the business of ZK. Today's agenda for me is talking about the customer perspective. I want to give everyone here the benefit of the conversations I have with like different customers over the last 1 year. What are the questions they ask me? What are the answers I give? What are the things that actually customers care about? And hopefully also give all the builders here some context around what are the questions you should probably be asking your ZK provider, whoever it may be. Maybe it's us, maybe it's someone else. I do want to spend like a quick second talking about Boundless and then move towards native rollups as sort of like a use case around how does native rollups work on Boundless? How does that work? And if we have time, I will want to go into like how you actually build a sustainable business model around ZK. Like I said, my background is Web 2. I'm very interested in building sustainable business models. Not very interested in like bear and bull cycles. I want to build something sustainable. So what is the business of ZK? So I think hopefully everybody in the audience agrees with me that ZK is one of the most transformative technologies to break through the ice the last 3-4 years. It's been around for way longer, but the last 3-4 years have really seen this sort of growth and we've captured the imagination of the masses in a way that's not happened before, including ETH and like even the Solana and like all the other L1 protocols as well. However, there is like an issue with how ZK is sort of like built and brought to the masses. This is a tweet of mine that like got a few likes and like people sort of enjoyed this take, which is our sector is obsessed with letting researchers run the show. Web 2 is run by product managers and execs. What is the consequence of that? You make very good solid decisions, but here's a side effect: taxonomy wars. What is an L2? What is a deterministic L2? What is enough decentralization? Oh, I don't agree with this and that. Random perf arguments over like decimal points. Half-baked use cases, right? Like people like to write like really long blog articles about half-baked use cases, and then passive aggressiveness on crypto Twitter. And in the meantime, the user, the builder suffers. They're all just like waiting for when it's going to happen. In Korean, you would say like palli palli, right? Like let's go. It's not happening. So consequently, even in ZK, you see this in ZK as well. ZK has improved by leaps and bounds. But personally, I think adoption has not kept pace with the innovation. Adoption is going okay. But from a Web 2 perspective, from a more sort of, I would like to say humbly, a little bit more of an experience perspective, a product this mature should be seeing much more adoption. Part of the problem is ZK is still perceived as novel technology, new technology, when in fact, it's been a while, like half a year plus, since cost of doing on-chain computation has been greater than doing cost of doing off-chain computation plus verifying it on-chain. You should have seen the shift already, but it's like still taking time. Performance has been trending towards real-time proving, right? Like less than 12 seconds in July. That's what we are targeting. ZK in a lot of ways has actually arrived, but still it's perceived as novel tech. Most of it is because the discussion is at the core tech level. It's not at the point of integration. Nobody is really sort of thinking about, or a lot of the conversations that people want to have is about proof systems, is about circle starks, when in reality users and builders don't actually care. When you walk into a car showroom, do you immediately go in and say, I'd like a V6 or a V8 engine? Or do you say, I'd like a Hyundai, I'd like a Kia? What's the handling like? What's the mileage? What's the maintenance? What's the support? Experienced developers who deploy at scale know that support and maintenance is probably the most important thing in the long term. But that's not the question that people are asking. So let's change that today, right? Let's talk a little bit about customer perspectives. This is a tweet I wrote like as I was making this deck to gauge whether like people would even like this conversation or not. I got some good feedback, so I think this would be like really interesting for folks. I tried to filter this down into 4 key questions because time limits and stuff that you should ask about any ZK product. This is not about Boundless, not about Risc. Like, what are 4 things that you should be really talking about? The first one, does it actually solve a technology problem for me? Like, people need to understand what ZK does in a blockchain context before they go into like a ZK-based solution. Just because it's sexy or like gives you vibe is not a good reason to use ZK. It probably, people try to do it in AI, right? Like, I shouldn't dish my wife's company here, but like the company my wife works for, they're trying to do some AI stuff. I'm like, what is it? And they're like, oh, we're using AI. I'm like, cuckoo. It bumps the stock by like 2 points, but doesn't really do anything. You should not be taking that approach to ZK. Your engineers will quit. It's kind of hard. You're putting them through a lot of shit to like do nothing. What does ZK actually do? It helps scale computation. Eigenlayer somewhere in the room, they're doing one ZKP proof which has 1.4 billion gas. That's like 20, 25 blocks worth of computation. You simply can't do it. Someone asked me, how much is that worth? I'm like, I don't know. Like millions of dollars maybe? How do you force one chain to just push your transactions through? It's not possible. More computation is actually a hand-wavy term for more features and better UX. ZK helps scale computation. Doesn't fix slides. Helps scale computation. more computation is actually a hand-wavy term for better UX. You want to do more stuff in your app, you need to compute more. Your app needs to do more. You can only fit so much in a Raspberry Pi, which is ETH, basically. The other thing is it creates new product guarantees. Centralized but verified models. It's a new sort of like thing that exists. There are exchanges like Hashflow, which actually operate almost exactly like Coinbase. It's a centralized exchange, but they verify their state transition and write the proof on chain. Avoids the FTX-style collapse, no theft. It creates trust in your system, helps you create more competitive products, and help gather more users. The second question you should be asking yourself is, how secure is it? Now, this is a question people ask, but don't really have a framework to really score, okay, that's a good answer, or that's not a good answer. If someone tells you that they've done audits, cool. That's like a really thorough code review by someone who knows what they're doing. I hope that was okay, but that's not enough. Audits are not enough. It's important, sufficient, but it's necessary but not sufficient. You have to ask the next question. Who did the audits? Was it an internal team member? Are they on your payroll? What is your formal verification roadmap? Someone told me formal verification is a PSYOP, and I just laughed silly at their face. All AWS internals are formally verified. The military, the government won't use it unless it's formally verified. People spend millions of dollars using it. They should have a roadmap. I'm not saying they should have done it already, but they should be on the way. How do they actually protect against soundness bugs, under-constraint bugs? Do they understand what that is? Are they a full-stack ZK team, or have they outsourced all of it? Are they a collection of libraries and tools, or do they actually have the expertise to solve problems as they show up? What is the background of the team? Now, when you are investing in a new technology like ZK, you should be thinking of yourself a little bit like an investor. You should actually look at the background of the team. Do they actually have security experience? Do they even have a security team, or is it just all of us like security? It's just not really a good answer. The other thing you should be really looking at is the trusted setup ceremony. All ZK products tend to verify on-chain. Is it a trust me bro setup, or have there been a lot of people who contributed to the trusted setup ceremony? Is it well run? It's important to ask these questions before you move on to the next question, which is what does it cost me and my team? Performance, right? Like it's actually very easy to jump into the performance conversation because it reduces complexity down to one number and says like, oh, I can do so many transactions, or I can process this so quickly, and so on and so forth. But without security, none of this actually matters. The one thing I'd say about like actually running ZK or running ZK in production is that running it on your laptop is not the same as running it in like a data center. AWS is probably the gold standard for deploy and forget, sort of. Is there a path for the ZK product to actually have the same liveness, decentralization, censorship resistance of the chain of your choice? Like, or is it like, we're just running it on AWS? If not, like, you're not going to make it. The next thing to actually consider is how does these operational costs and latencies look to be trending? In my opinion, costs and latency should be trending down massively, somewhere in the order of 20x by the end of the year. If they are not able to like give you that answer, again, not a great choice. The next thing to actually look at is what does this product look like in 6 months, in 12 months, in 24 months? ZK is improving on a quarter-by-quarter basis. There hasn't been a single quarter in the last 1.5 years where Risc hasn't like improved its speed by like 2 to 3x. This is going to keep continuing. Do they have investments in next-gen proof systems? What are the moonshot investments that people are making? If there's no answer, it's the wrong answer. If it's all jargon, jibber-jabber, it's the wrong answer. People can't break it down. If they're basically waiting on another team to do all the work for them, that is also the wrong answer, in my opinion. You should definitely be asking people, what is your GPU, FPGA, ASIC strategy? The next perf bump is going to come at that hardware level. A lot of teams have invested in FPGAs and ASICs as part of their sort of mechanism to make their ZK VMs go burr. You should be asking about these as well. And then, of course, client-side proving. Like, what is the roadmap that takes you from here to client-side proving? And when do you see other language support? Rust is actually a fantastic choice for ZK VMs. It's beautiful. It's great for cryptography, but still hasn't reached mass adoption, in my humble opinion. Golang is sort of the preferred language for blockchains. It's a great question to ask, like, when Golang? Do you have a path towards that? And when DevX? Like, truly, like one of the narratives that is built in ZK, which I think is actually ultimately false, is DevX is there now. DevX has reached a point where everybody can write ZK applications. If that was true, ZK applications would be written. I think there's one last crank left in actually building out more frameworks for ZK VM application building, so that it becomes easier for the 50th percentile dev to get involved and start building these things. It's important to ask these questions. Why? Because you're a company, you're going to have like 10 people. If only one of you knows how to build your ZK VM application, now you have a key man risk. You want to make sure you reduce that. So those are my 4 questions, and just like recapping that, I want to talk a little bit about native rollups. There's going to be quite a lot of speakers who are going to take you through what native rollups are, so I'm not going to like spend my time doing that. But what I do want to talk about is how Boundless can solve a technology problem for native rollups. Boundless is a marketplace where you get your ZK proofs done. Native rollups or rollups in general have consistent traffic, have a lot of proving to do, a high volume. Where do you get the lowest possible cost? We believe Boundless will deliver the lowest possible cost for these proving workloads. Another way in which like you can actually reduce latencies is actually to skip the bidding mechanism completely. Boundless actually allows you to have off-chain pricing contracts. So if you have like a bunch of provers that you want to have a conversation with and sort of negotiate your prices, you're allowed to do that. That's a very specific sort of feature that we built for rollups. How secure is Boundless? Boundless is powered by Risc. We invest in formal verification. Picus, which sort of like is our framework for taking care, addressing all under-constrained bugs, which are 96, 97% of all the bugs in ZK VMs, makes Boundless the most secure prover market out there. Then again, how much does Boundless cost me, and how the bidding mechanism that we use gives us the lowest possible prices, and also like makes it so that there's consistent funnel of demand and innovation, which means there's also negligible cost of integration. Excuse me. The last question you should be asking is, what does Boundless look like in 6 months, 12 months, and 24 months? With respect to native rollups, one of the things that we actually are trying to build and see if we can get a partner to build with us is actually streaming transactions. Because in native rollups, you have a single party who's going to like build these blocks. They can actually start streaming these transactions even before the block is confirmed, so to get even faster end-to-end proving times. Boundless is also an open platform. Similar to ETH, you can actually submit improvement proposals and like add more things. The last thing worth considering is Binius, which is our next-gen proof system, which is sort of like predicted to give a 20-25x performance bump. Fabric ASICs, as well as other ASICs and other manufacturers that we are talking to as well to get more hardware acceleration into Boundless. There are other questions that I feel like people should be asking about Boundless or proven networks as well that I'm going to just throw in there. We don't have time to go into all of them. One thing that is very specific to Boundless is our mechanism that underpins everything, proof of verifiable work. Proof of verifiable work is a consistent fraud and reward mechanism. What it does is accounts for every single prover on the network and make sure rewards are distributed equally to everybody who participates in the network. I'll move on to how do I pay for my proofs. Boundless is deployed on every single chain. It's a series of smart contracts, and what that means is you can pay for your proofs in the native token of your choice, reducing any sort of like friction when it comes to bridging or whatever. We're not forcing you to use our tokens or any other tokens, the token of your choice. And how decentralized is Boundless? Boundless is going to be decentralized on day one. Risk 0 could, touch on wood, hopefully not, go under on day one. Boundless will continue to thrive. That's something we wanted to design on day one. The bonus question I have is like, when white paper? The answer is pretty soon. I wanted to go a little bit deeper into the business model, but like a couple of outages here and there, like I don't have a ton of time, so I'm going to like skip to questions if people have them, and end it here. Any questions? Cool, thank you.